Let me tell you about Duduzile Zuma Sambuhla, because if there was ever a case study in how one person can cause maximum chaos while operating with absolute impunity, she's it. This woman is currently sitting in parliament as an MK party MP, already on trial for allegedly instigating the 2021 July unrest that killed over 350 people. And now her own sister has opened a criminal case against her for allegedly trafficking 17 young South African men to Russia under false pretenses, where they are now trapped fighting in Ukraine's war zones and absolutely begging to come back. There has truly never been a rabbit hole to go into about a woman this year as much as Duduzile Zuma. She is so unhinged that her own family had to take her to court to try and stop her. Just let that sink in for a moment. They're dealing with a psychopath. Nkosazana Zuma, Jacob Zuma's eldest daughter, has laid charges against her own sister, Duduzile. And this wasn't even a long time ago. If I'm not mistaken, the charges began last week. Why? Because she allegedly trafficked 17 young men to Ukraine. She was accused of human trafficking and fraud and violating South Africa's Foreign Military Assistance Act. This isn't political opposition going after her. This isn't the media being unfair. This is her own blood saying, "Girl, enough is enough. What you have done is criminal." This is a recruitment scheme from hell that only a psychopath would come up with. Here's what allegedly happened. And I want you to really absorb how calculative and deceptive she can be. Duduzile promised these young South African men that she would join them in Russia for a year, undergo the same military training, and experience similar hardships, including sleeping in the mountains armed with guns and grenades. So she basically looked at these men's eyes and lied to their face, saying whatever they'll go through, she'll go through it with them. She told them they'd be in all this together. She'd be right there with them, on their side, suffering alongside them, learning alongside them. This was complete horseradish. The men were told they would receive bodyguard training in Russia, but were instead forced to sign contracts they didn't understand, and then was sent to fight for Russian mercenary forces on Ukraine's front lines. They were handed a contract they didn't understand by a woman who regularly doesn't do contracts. I don't know about you, but it's pretty clear she didn't write it, right? Not bodyguard training, not personal security courses. No, this contract was for actual combat on the front lines of one of the deadliest conflicts in Europe since World War II. And when these young men reasonably said, well, wait a second, we're not signing documents we can't read, Blessing Khoza and Duduzile Zuma Sambuhla came to convince them to sign. They said, no, you know what? They told them that the papers were just for training, you see, and that the Russians are playing with our minds. You see, it's just a paper you need to sign. You know, that's all. Don't worry about it. After you sign, and then we'll talk about everything else. She looked these men in the eyes and told them not to worry. It's all fine. Just sign here. And that's the reality they're living now. 2 of these men are currently operating cannons about 10 kilometers from the front line in Ukraine, camping in forests while following Russian army soldiers. Long story short, they're doing things they didn't even sign up for. How much were their hearts beating when they realized that they just landed in Russia and were going to do something they did not sign up for? They did sign up for it. They were just scammed. They're not in a training facility. They didn't learn any advanced security techniques. They were operating artillery in an active war zone, killing and potentially being killed for a conflict that has absolutely nothing to do with South Africa. 2 men were taken on a combat mission on August 28th and have never been seen again. And nobody knows where they are. Nobody. Try searching where they are. You're not going to find them. Because ding dong, hello, it's quite hard to track military officials. And remember, some Russian officials had to attend the G20 ceremony. But those boys could be dead. They could be lying wounded somewhere. Anything could be happening to these dudes. And she said she'd be right there with them. But she's comfortably in parliament collecting her salary. A mother of one of the 17 men said she hasn't slept for weeks, only learning her son was in a war zone from another parent. Her son told her that they were told to keep the recruitment process secret. This is one of the many red flags when it comes to human trafficking. Every time they try to take the child, they always say, oh, don't tell your parents about it. Imagine being that mother. Imagine thinking your son is off getting a security training in Russia and then discovering he's in Ukraine operating artillery while Duduzile Zuma tweets from Johannesburg. The next time that mother sees Duduzile Zuma, she's going to want to strangle her to death. And the family connection in this all makes this 10 times worse. 8 of these 17 men are family members of the Zuma family. What is wrong with the Zuma family? The Zuma family is a whole rabbit hole in itself. Because you have the old guy who keeps stealing like Zuma and doesn't want to go to jail because he's sick. And now you have the psychopath called Duduzile. One relative said the recruitment was done out of loyalty to Zuma as a father, and that some of the guys recruited are direct blood-related family members of the former president. What is this? Is this a sacrifice? Is this some ritual sacrifice we're not told about? Is this something to do with bloodlines? Or I don't understand. She used her father's name, the family's political legacy, and these young men's loyalty to recruit them into what amounts to a death sentence. The same relative added, Duduzile and the family have been trying to keep this under wraps and a secret. All the guys were supposed to be dead by now. The Russians told them they would never come back once sent to the front lines. Imagine going there, realizing this is not what you were told about, and then whoever's there, having you because you're human trafficked is telling you, oh, you're not going back, man. We're going to be sending you to the front lines. I mean, all the guys were supposed to be dead by now. She allegedly sent these men to die and then tried to keep it secret so that nobody would find out. And no one is calling out the fact that she's breaking multiple laws. Under South Africa's Foreign Military Assistance Act of 1998, it is illegal for South African citizens to offer military assistance to foreign governments or participate in foreign armies unless authorized by the South African government. Because you're using South African citizens to fight in your army, you should ask the South African government to give you the South African young men. This is not rocket science. This isn't ambiguous. What she allegedly did is straightforwardly illegal. Zuma Mncube's criminal case claims the recruitment contravenes the Prevention and Combating of Trafficking in Persons Act, the Regulation of Foreign Military Assistance Act, and the Common Law Fraud Act as well. So now I'm sure you can tell there is a whole Bible of laws Duduzile Zuma Sambudla has broken. So this is human trafficking, this is illegal military recruitment and fraud all in one scheme. And yet she's still sitting in parliament, she is still an MP, she's still earning 10 times more than you ever will, while young men she allegedly recruited are operating cannons illegally in Ukrainian forests, wondering if they'll ever see their families again. What kind of pattern of chaos is this? This woman, this bridge troll, is already on trial for allegedly instigating the July 2021 unrest through her social media posts. Riots that killed over 350 people and caused billions in damages. While that case proceeds, she's also allegedly been running an international human trafficking operation on the side. It's like she woke up one day and thought, you know what? Domestic chaos isn't enough. Let's get international. President Ramaphosa has ordered an investigation, and the government is working through diplomatic channels to secure their return. When the government says they're trying their best and have started an investigation in South Africa, that is a translation for, we're sorry guys, we're not going to find you. The South African government investigating. And now the Hawks are investigating the case as well. maybe you'll have some hope in the Hawks, because they do kind of have a reputation for actually finishing investigations. Ramaphosa will say something and then you never hear about it again. And investigations take time. Diplomatic channels move slowly. And every 24 hours that passes is another day those 17 men spent in a war zone they were lied into joining. Unhinged is what you call a woman like this. A normal person who allegedly incites riots that kill 350 people might lie low for a while. A reasonable person facing criminal charges might avoid doing anything that could add more legal problems, especially if you're responsible for the death of 350 people. A sane person would definitely not simultaneously run an alleged human trafficking operation that sends people to active war zones. But Duduzile Zuma Sambudla isn't normal. We know that she's not reasonable or apparently bound by the same rules as everyone else. She thinks she's above the law. She operates like consequences don't apply to her, like laws are suggestions to her and her family, and like other people's lives are just props in whatever scheme she's running this week. Her own sister had to take her to court. Her own family members are trapped in Ukraine because of her lies. 2 men are missing. They're possibly dead. Mothers cannot sleep at night. And she's been trying to keep it all a secret, hoping everyone would just die quietly and the problem would go away. She is so unhinged that even South African political standards, which are already pretty wild, she stands out uniquely from. She is spectacularly destructive as a person, and somehow she's still in parliament, still wielding influence, and still causing chaos. What is this? The only question left is, how much more damage will she cause before someone finally stops her? I've said for years now, there are an elite people in South Africa who genuinely believe they are untouchable, that the law just cannot touch them. She was so confident in herself, she had the ability to lie in the faces of 17 young men and traffic them to Ukraine. And guess what? You want to know what consequences she faced for that? You really want to know? Absolutely nothing.